the longest running online radio show on the iPower Evening Show. DeMarco J on Pretty Ricky and Rafael Castro.
Good evening, everyone. DeMarco, Ricky, and Rafael in the building. This is Speak Aloud Talk Tuesday on the IPES. All right, we're going to have part 1 and 2 of Speak Aloud 360 tonight and Thursday. Please make a note of that. We're going to talk about law enforcement. Most of the majority of you who are black, African American, and a person of color regarding do you trust the police? Most of y'all said no, and as well y'all should. Well, here we go again. The news may be old, but the wound is still fresh. Another black person was gunned down and murdered by another Texas police officer, making national news for all the wrong reasons. 28-year-old Tatiana Jefferson was fatally shot in her own house. Sounds familiar?
Yep.
I mean, she didn't even get a chance to respond to the officer,
No.
but the cop was too trigger-happy to murder this young black woman who has no criminal record, just like Botham John.
Right.
This cop didn't even identify himself as a police officer.
No.
Now, how this started was a concerned neighbor called the police. It was a non-emergency 311 call. He was a black neighbor next door, concerned for the young woman's welfare after the door was slightly left open. So after he called the police in a non-emergency call, why didn't this white former cop who showed up, Aaron Dean, who since resigned after the fatal shooting, use the front door and identify himself as a police officer? Ask questions like, is there anybody home? It's the Fort Worth police. Are you okay?
Right.
But instead, he goes in the back of the house where this young black woman who was studying to be a doctor, playing video games with her nephew at the time, was gunned down at her window. Didn't even get a chance to respond to the officer's command.
It was just like another Botham John murder.
Right.
This time it was a white male cop and a black woman with similar results. The last cop who was convicted saying, you in my own house, which he wasn't. This time it was Aaron Dean who thought there was a crime in progress looking for black suspects.
Correct.
And since this was a non-emergency phone call to the police, all that cop had to do was check the front door of that black woman's house that was left slightly open. Either she forgot or whatever.
Right.
That shouldn't give that cop no authority to kill an innocent black woman
Right.
who was not
None
a threat to
whatsoever.
society.
Right.
But it's that preconceived notion on how racist, bigoted cops sees blacks as automatic criminals.
Of course.
When it comes to black people and the police who looks at us different, you are guilty till proven guilty in the court of their law as judge, jury, and executioner.
I can't understand, why didn't the cop use the front door and identify himself as a police officer?
Thank you.
Isn't that the police protocol, to identify yourself as a law enforcement officer?
It is.
All he said was put your hands up, and then the next thing, fatally shoots her? I mean,
Sus.
she didn't even got a chance to respond.
That's what I'm
Period.
saying.
Exactly.
Yo, what would have happened if he shot her and her nephew?
Right.
Now, I'm glad he's being charged with murder one.
As he should.
But knowing Fort Worth police, they're gonna spin this story to make this young black woman a criminal for having a gun in her own house.
So
So
what? And
what?
she has every right to protect herself in her
Exactly.
own house.
Right. Well, first of all, the state of Texas is an open carry state.
It is.
Second of all, her firearm was purchased legally to protect herself and her family.
Exactly.
Third of all, she never had the gun in her hand because she was nowhere near the gun when she was murdered like a dog through her own window. That's murder one.
Yeah, but according to the nephew, he said that Tatiana Jefferson had the gun allegedly in her hand when she heard an intruder in the back, which turned out to be a police officer. So that's his story compared to what we're hearing.
Yeah, but
at the
still.
same time, that should be capital murder, in my opinion.
Automatic.
So if this cop is found guilty of first-degree murder, is the judge going to give him a hug too, and give this racist bigot his or her own personal Bible, and then look for a hug?
That wouldn't surprise
The
me.
Bible said reject Satan. So why would I, as a judge who just sentenced a cop to harsh prison time, hug Satan?
Exactly.
This is such hypocrisy by some Negroes who thump the Holy Bible thinking that they're doing God's work.
Well, that ain't God's work to me.
When God said reject Satan,
Right.
you cannot forgive Satan or his or her sin
Right.
or intent to kill.
I agree, Ricky.
For real.
I totally agree. You're not going to get no arguments with me on that.
Exactly,
None whatsoever.
exactly.
This is why I'm not deep into Christianity.
Yeah.
For forgiving our oppressors who meant to destroy us as black people or people of color. I am not a forgivable person like Botham John's brother.
Right.
Look, I'm not mad at him.
I'm not
that
mad
was
at him
his
either.
choice,
Right,
but I ain't
right.
him.
I'm not him.
What is your take? This is a two-part SIL Talk 360 topic. We'll do this also on Thursday. If you are black or a person of color, do you fear for your life of law enforcement? It's SIL Talk 360. Let's go to the phone lines.
iPower 1 FM. Call and express your mind. Express your mind. Join the conversation now on the iPower Evening Show. Express your mind.
Alberto, you're next on iPower 1 FM. Go ahead, Alberto.
Hey, DeMarco. Hey, Ricky. Hey, Sandro.
How you doing, Alberto?
Hey, what's up there, bro?
Amiguito, what up?
If you're black or a person of color, do you fear for your life of law enforcement?
No, not really. Even though I'm Puerto Rican and Latinos do get harassed a lot. I don't trust the police because they could mistake me for an undocumented immigrant, knowing that Puerto Ricans in this country are United States citizens.
Right.
And what is so stupid is when ICE agents are just going after any Latino in this country without even checking their background or nationality to see if they're Dominican, Cuban, or Puerto Rican.
Right.
Because Ricans are not quote-unquote illegal aliens, like we from another planet. We Puerto Ricans are Americans just like anybody else.
Exactly.
Who are naturalized.
Correct.
I fear that ICE agents will arrest me because I'm Puerto Rican. And it don't even make any sense because I was born here.
Yeah.
They think every Latino in this country is Mexican.
Exactly.
I'm Mexican.
Right.
Get the F out of here.
Exacto.
Yeah, I hear you on
are
that.
Boricua. Puerto Ricans do not apply to ICE agents.
No.
But they're trying to find a way to put Puerto Ricans in the mix.
Oh, yeah.
To think we are undocumented immigrants in this country.
Yeah,
Por
right.
favor, get the F out of here.
Donald, you're next on iPower 1 FM. Go ahead, Donald.
Yeah, this is Donald.
Stick with the topic. If you're black or a person of color, do you fear for your life of law enforcement?
No, I do not.
Tell us why, Donald.
As a Vietnam veteran, we respect the laws of our country, so I don't need to be in fear of my life or a police officer. When they say obey their orders, you better obey their orders. But these blacks and these illegal aliens want to challenge the law and break the law.
What?
They're the ones should be in fear of their lives after threatening to kill police officers.
Donald,
stop it.
you saying black people and people of color don't respect the laws in this country?
You damn right.
Most minorities are law-abiding citizens, sir.
That's right.
We can obey the law all we want, but some police officers do harass African Americans for no apparent reason
Right.
and arrest us under false pretenses. So don't talk to me about black people don't obey the laws in this country
Exactly.
and still get arrested, regardless if we obey the laws or
wait a
not.
minute. But black people hate cops.
What?
They made our beloved cops the enemy of this country and
Really?
terrorize innocent victims like myself.
Donald,
I am
stop.
glad that these cops are beating these asses because they deserve it.
right,
Donald,
goodbye, Donald.
goodbye, sir.
No.
Go back and take your medication, sir.
Ridiculous.
Goodbye, sir. Once again, you're exaggerating on how all cops in this country are the victims. I don't see nothing beloved about law enforcement who done terrorizes black people for decades in this country. Fear for our black lives. Innocent black lives are the most taken away in this country,
Right.
whether you want to believe it or not.
Stacey J, you're next on iPower 1 FM. Go ahead, Stace.
Yo, Stacey J, represent hip-hop.
How you doing, brother?
There, bro.
Stacy!
If you're black or a person of color, do you fear for your life of law enforcement?
Oh yeah, I'm black. I'm an easy, definite target to law enforcement who are trigger happy to kill a at any time. You feel what I'm saying?
Exactly.
See, some of these cops who are on the force are only there temporary.
They are.
Some cops are not trying to make this a long-term career. You feel
No,
what
they're
I'm
not.
saying?
No.
If they can just kill one black person and they claim they fear for their lives and try and get away with it, they're gonna do that, yo.
You
Yes,
ain't
they will,
lying.
unfortunately.
I mean, when rogue and racist cops do kill a black person or person of color, they always say, I fear for my life.
All
I
the
fear
time.
for my
It
life.
never fails.
What about black people who fear for their lives who have no criminal record?
Right.
Never been in trouble with the law. A law-abiding citizen obeying the officer's command after being pulled over. Then you fatally shot this brother or sister for reaching for their registration in the glove compartment, ordered by the cops to do so.
Correct.
So how can a cop fear for their life for obeying the officer's command?
Right.
See,
It doesn't
if
make any
I was in
sense.
that situation and a triggered happy cop tells me to reach for my registration in the glove box, I'd rather you drag my black ass out the car alive and arrest me, because I ain't no joke. I ain't going for the okie doke.
Just to stay alive as a black man?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's what I'm gonna have to do.
I want my day in court.
Right.
Hire me a lawyer and then sue their asses.
Damn Skippy.
You talk about cops fearing for their lives. I'm going to use all precaution when I get stopped by the police. And that's have my driver's license and registration ready, my seatbelt unbuckled, my window rolled down,
Yep.
my engine turned off, my hands on the steering wheel, and my camera phone on and recorded live on
Exactly.
Facebook. I'm not taking no chances with these triggered, happy, racist cops.
Hell no.
Lamont, you're next on iPower 1 FM. Go ahead, Lamont.
This is Lamont.
Go ahead, Lamont. Stick with the topic. If you're black or a person of color, do you fear for your life of law enforcement?
No, I don't.
Tell us
let
why,
me
Lamont.
you
Tell us
why.
why.
Por favor.
As for me, I feel more safe with our beloved law enforcement officers than to feel safe around these black people and Puerto Ricans who are a danger to our society, like Tamir Rice, who was a terrorist.
You know what? Think about it.
Lamont, all I'm gonna say is, take your head out of your ass, because you're full of Yeah, I said it.
real.
Only somebody who calls up here acting a coon always have something ignorant to say.
Right.
Now, I know this is Speak Aloud 360, expressing your mind. I know that this is his opinion in a strange way, but at the same time, I want iPower One Nation to know how ignorant, dumb, and stupid you really sound on the phone.
Lamont is one of these coons who not only hates black people, in my opinion, but he gets real self-hateful when he doesn't get his way with black people.
Correct.
Well, I'm sorry, sir. I don't see that happening no time soon.
Nope.
And hating your own people will not get you what you want in this world.
No.
So take some woo size, Lamont, because
Exactly.
you will never, ever get your way on this program.
Nunca.
They may allow you to say what you want on Sean Hannity's radio show,
Right.
but not here at iPower One.
Clarence, you're next on iPower 1 FM. Go ahead, Clarence.
Hey, what's up, y'all?
How you doing, brother?
up,
Hey, what up, Clarence?
If you're black or a person of color, do you fear for your life of law enforcement?
Well, like I said before, if you're black, African American, or brown in this country, we saw black people like Tamir Rice, Eric Garner, Sean Bell, Sandra Bland, Freddie Gray, Mike Brown, Stephon Clark, Philando Castillo, Alton Sterling, Terrence Crutcher, Walter Scott, Botham John, and now Tatiana Jefferson feared for their lives once they saw law enforcement. See, when it comes to police officers, and I'm gonna keep it 100, when police officers see skin color, that's black. I don't care what shade you is. When officers see skin color, that's black. Red flag. Y'all hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Red flag.
Red flag
They a
indeed.
thug. They a criminal. They a terrorist. They a gangbanger. When officers are on that preconceived notion automatically as they pull us over, what are the first things they say and do? You fit the description of a black suspect.
Right.
You are automatically a threat to society. Put your hands behind your back. You under arrest. Black person on the ground cooperating with the officer's command, but they beat your ass just for the fun of it.
Oh, yeah.
And they start blaming you for resisting arrest. Stop resisting. Stop resisting. Man got a gun. Woman got a gun. And the next thing we know, cops emptying their bullets, making it seem like the cops were in trouble. 15 to 20 officers on one black person who's 5 feet, all soaking wet. How the hell can you fear for your lives of a harmless human being who is terrified?
Right.
Never been arrested with no criminal record, who's a straight A student, seeing all these officers surrounding him with his heart racing out of his mouth and crying because he or she is about to lose their life just for being black in America. Like I said, and I'm going to keep on saying this.
Go ahead, brother.
Being black in this country, we call the United States of America, is a criminal offense.
Yes.
I'm out.
Great call, Clarence.
You ain't
Great
lying,
call,
brother.
my brother.
You are not
You made a valid
lying.
point again, brother.
Exactly.
Thanks for that call.
I see no exaggeration. I see no false narratives or false spins of what Clarence is saying.
No.
This brother ain't telling you what he thinks. He's telling you what he knows and what he saw, what he heard and witnessed.
Right.
Just like any other black person who are victims of police corruption.
Let's take this last call. Rayshawn, you're next on iPower 1 FM. Go ahead, Rayshawn.
Hey, what up, DeMarco? What up, Ricky? What up,
How
Raphael?
you doing, my
What's
brother?
up there,
Hey,
bro?
Rayshawn, saludo.
If you're black or person of color, do you fear for your life of law enforcement?
Well, first of all, I just want to say shout out to that last previous caller, Brother Clarence, who went deep on how he sees our people as the victims of this long, estranged battle between law enforcement and the black communities nationwide that's yet to see any real justice for our people,
Right.
black people.
Exactly.
As a young black man in his early 40s, speaking truth to power, yes, I fear for my life as a black man. But at the same time, I fear no man but God.
For real.
The reason why I fear for my life of law enforcement is because they have the upper hand to use deadly force once they see a black face. They got the law on their side. They got the city by their side. They got the state by their side. They got this country by their side. They even got the government by their side.
Correct.
So what does that tell you? Now, if you take the gun, the nightstick, the mace, the taser, the badge, and the blue uniform away from that officer, he or she would be powerless without it.
Yep.
Therefore, they would definitely be in fear of their lives after a brother done whooped that ass, him up in self-defense.
right.
They only fear for their lives when they see skin color as a dangerous weapon without having any real weapons like a 9mm, an AK-47, an AR-15, or switchblade knife. You got mothers and fathers in our black communities who are heartbroken, who are grieving, who are angry, who are suffering because of their son or their daughter's lives taken away over false stories and false pretenses of a rogue or racist cop that gets away with murder after murder after murder of taking innocent black lives away, who has never been in trouble with the law, never been arrested, never committed one petty crime, always in the community, helping out African Americans and black people. If most of our people do so much positive work and doing good by giving back to our communities in the hoods doing God's work, why are those same black people getting killed by law enforcement by assassinating their character, their good name, their good reputation based on a lie by a rogue and a racist cop?
You're right.
And I agree with my brother Stacey J. And I'm pretty sure that Brother Stefan said this himself. Some of these cops who are on the force, killing us in our own hood, in our black and brown communities, intentionally are not there on the police force for the long haul. If they can just kill 1 or 2 Negroes legally as a police officer, and they either get fired or they resign with no arrest nor conviction for killing us, that is mission accomplished. Unfortunately.
Right.
Peace, my brothers.
Meaning cops got what they wanted.
Yeah.
Now I can resign or be fired as a badge of honor.
That is the cowardly way
Well
out.
said, Rashawn.
It is the cowardly
Thanks for your
way
call,
out.
brother.
Seriously.
Reading your text next.
Speak It Loud 360 continues right here, right now on the iPower Evening Show.
We got more of the iPower Evening Show coming up in hour 4. Plus, my Tuesday rant, DeMarco Comes Real, if you missed it earlier, coming up at 20 before the hour. Meanwhile, we're streaming on our official website, iPower1FM.com or TuneIn.com. Type in keyword iPower1FM to pick up our show.
Incoming message.
All right, takes your mind on SIL 360. If you're black or a person of color, do you fear for your life of law enforcement? Gloria A. Smith from Brooklyn, New York writes, yes, I do. Not only that I fear for my 2 sons' lives, I'm also in fear of my life when I get pulled over and have a gun to my face. I should not be afraid in my own community.
Incoming message.
Benny from the Bean from Roxbury, Massachusetts writes, not only that I fear for my life, but I fear for my kids' lives because the color of our skin. Loving Boston and fearing Boston police are 2 different things. You already know Benny from the Bean.
Incoming message.
Jameson Ray, also from Roxbury, Massachusetts, writes, yo, even though I'm from Boston, black people still getting harassed out here. I'm also fearing something's gonna happen to me if I sneeze the wrong way and they start blasting my ass, fearing for their lives over a sneeze.
Are you
Tell me
serious?
about it.
Over a sneeze? Yeah, a Negro will get shot over a goddamn sneeze by these triggered-happy racist and rogue cops.
Wow.
Carol Wade from Philly writes, I'm a single black mother with 3 young sons and 2 young daughters. Every time they leave my house to go to school, I pray to the good Lord that he will bring all my 5 babies back home safe from harm's way of any corrupted police officer who I fear more than these young thugs on the street. I hear you,
message.
sister. Mr. Ballstog 857 from Dorchester, Massachusetts writes, my brother, I've always told my sons that when you see the police, do not panic. Do as you're told and not backtalk to these officers out here, because they won't hesitate to pull that trigger on us black folks. That's what I fear. I hear you, Mr. Ballstog 857. I hear you, bruh. I worry about my kids on Staten Island getting pulled over by the NYPD.
For real.
Carlito G 781 from Lawrence, Massachusetts writes, I don't care what nobody says. Latinos here in Lawrence, mostly Dominicans, are in fear that ICE agents will break down their doors and start shooting and deporting us. I fear for my girlfriend and my kids, man.
Alberto 84 from Providence, Rhode Island writes, bro, to me, La Policia here in Providence, most Latinos not only don't trust the police, but some of them fear that ICE agents will come out and arrest them or probably shoot them just to deport them back.
Wow.
Yeah, Alberto 84, I hear you on that, bro.
Oh, that don't surprise me, having ICE agents in Providence trying to arrest Dominicans.
Yeah, of course.
Incoming
Right?
message.
Jorge Flores from Hartford, Connecticut writes, blacks and Puerto Ricans get harassed a lot more here in Hartford. Sometimes I fear for my life when pigs pull me over thinking I'm some Latin king ready to kill me. But La Policia are the real gangbangers out here in this country.
Well,
hell
duh.
yeah! My brother always tells me that the real true gangbangers here in the United States are La Policia, are NYPD, Boston Police, Chicago Police,
Right.
Miami Police, LAPD.
You ain't
It don't
lying.
matter where you at here in this country.
No.
Those are the biggest gangbangers in blue here in Estado Unido.
Incoming
And
message.
Rafito, NYC1 from the Bronx, New York writes, bro, if I feel like I'm in some kind of trouble, I can always hit up my uncle who's on the force for the NYPD. I would call him and feel safe without fearing for my life from a racist cop.
And you know something about that? That is good to have a good police officer who is your friend or friend of the family.
That's true.
That if you are in trouble in some kind of way, then you can always trust an officer who is very close to a family.
For real. And my mom and some of my cousins who have friends who work for Boston Police who are in fact friends of the family. So
Right.
so if I were to get in trouble, I know exactly who to call.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
What's the moral of the story?
Please use precaution when you are pulled over or stopped by the police. Obey the officer's commands and have your license, your registration, and your phone on you at all times and record the officer's actions just in case the cops get into that trigger-happy mode, claiming that they fear for their lives.
Right there what you just said, Ricky. When you get pulled over by the police, license and registration, put your phone on Facebook Live for insurance to catch the officer's actions.
For real.
Put your hand on the steering wheel.
Right.
So right there, when the officer messes up and they arrest you for no reason, you got a video camera and you can take them to court and sue their ass.
Exactly. Because hell, I'm trying to get home.
Hey, we're all trying to get home.
Right, absolutely. I say the same thing. And I know some African Americans and people of color don't think that's a good idea because they know their rights. I get that. But come on, I'm trying to get home alive.
Oh, you ain't
yes,
never
black
lied.
people. We know that it's hard at this time that we can't trust the police. That's supposed to be protecting the innocent and upholding the law. But unfortunately, Eric Garner, Cleve Browder, Mike Brown, Philando Castile, Tamir Rice, Sandra Bland, Terrence Crutcher, Keith Lamont Scott, Botham John, nor Tatiana Jefferson never got that chance after their lives were taken away by law enforcement.
Exactly.
These black lives never got their day in court to claim their innocence.
Nope.
Because they were automatically guilty just for being black.
And like I said before, and I'm gonna keep on saying this, when it comes to dirty, rogue, and racist cops on the force that intentionally targets African Americans and people of color, but mostly black people that do get it worse than any other race in this country, you are guilty till proven guilty in the eyes of law enforcement.
Right.
That's how these officers like the NYPD,
Boston Police, right.
Miami PD, or LAPD were trained to cover up the cover-up to save their asses.
Right, it's always been like that. Framing us and locking us up with no real evidence.
Exactly.
Just to frame a Negro and be done with it.
That's why that dangerous fear by law enforcement is out there, unfortunately.
That's why most black and brown folks fear for their lives, because of the power that the police has.
Oh, you ain't lying about that, bro.
Thanks, Rick. Shout outs to IP2 on our YouTube channel. Keyword, iPower One Nation.